is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now.
Jeremy Lee in the building and every guest that you ever needed. Sports cards after hours keep the hobby heated. Updates, hobby talk like you never seen it. Sports cards live and none could ever beat it.
Sports cards is a lifestyle. Sports cards and we live now.
Welcome to another episode of Sports Cards Live with your host, Jeremy Lee.
All right, welcome everybody to the PWCC Hockey Weekly Auction Live coverage. It is Sunday, April the 30th, 2023. My name is Jeremy Lee. I want to thank all of you podcast listeners, YouTube viewers, subscribers. If you're not yet subscribed to the channel or following on Spotify, please take a moment and do so. Let's get on with the show tonight. Let's bring on our co-host, Josh Madigan. Welcome back.
Hey, Jeremy.
Dare I say, how are you? Are you recovered from the Sport Card Expo last weekend?
Well, kind of. It turns out my biggest pickup at the Expo was COVID, so I'm dealing with that. But other than that, happy to be here.
Well, good. Listen, we have something else in common. We both love hockey cards. We both love the hobby. We both create content, and we've both caught COVID at the Expo. For me, it was November of 2021 when I caught it at the Expo and brought it home, or somewhere between the Expo and maybe the airplane, who knows? But welcome to the club. I'm glad to not be alone anymore. So glad to have you.
Yeah, my wife's super happy because I gave it to her too. So it's a hot mess here at the Madigan household, but we're doing good. We're gonna power through it.
Good. Well, there are 425 hockey cards up for auction this Sunday on the PWCC platform. I have gone through them and starred or favorited 30. What do we got here? Let me just confirm. 33 that I found to be particularly interesting, some for various reasons. But I think we can jump in. As we all know, extended bidding is now all access. It starts in 28 minutes from right now. So while you no longer need to get a bid in ahead of extended bidding to qualify, extended bidding does start in half an hour. And if an item doesn't get a bid in that first 30 minutes, it is going to go away and not be available anymore. I think, is it 30 minutes? I'm looking at my ticker right now. It says, this might be an old ticker I have going. I might need to change that up really quick here, because that doesn't seem to be right to me, although it just might be. I'm not even sure. So we'll leave it up there. It's conservative at best. Well, let's share the screen, Josh. And actually, I'm going to just reverse because I'm on my second page here. So let me back it up before I do this. And we'll take a look and we'll just kind of talk about these cards as we go. Again, 33 that I found to be of particular interest. I think we've covered the same cards between us. So right out of the gate here, we've got a Jean Beliveau 1953 Parkhurst rookie card in a PSA 8 near mint to mint holder. Along the top row, we also have a Bobby Hull X Mint Plus, a PSA 5.5. And from the 65 tops set, a PSA 8 Gordie Howe. So, Josh, the reason why I listen, all of these three cards really don't need explanations. I would also say that the Jean Beliveau and the Bobby Hull are probably two of the most important / popular / highly coveted Hall of Fame rookie cards in hockey, in all of hockey. Jean Beliveau and Bobby Hull. For many, many years, when you would open up a Beckett magazine, there were two hockey cards that claimed the highest book value. They were both $3,000 for the longest time. If you're old school, you'll remember this. One was Gordie Howe, 51 Parkhurst. The other one was the 1958 tops Bobby Hull. So obviously this is an important card. The Beliveau, Josh, I mean, look at this thing. Is it as beautiful as I think it is?
The color is amazing.
And I'm not even talking about this particular copy. I'm talking about Jean Beliveau rookie overall. To me is absolutely stunning. But you're right. The color on actually here, let's take a look. I made it big already. The color is very nice. The registration looks to be pretty good. It may be off a little bit. I can see a bit of a registration defect, but nothing, not terrible. Obviously, what I do notice, the biggest condition issue is going to be the centering. It's certainly shifted to the right. I would call this maybe a 66-33 centering, maybe 60-40, something like that. But it's quite apparent that the left border is significantly wider than the right border. I do believe that this centering would be within PSA 8's PSA's tolerance for a near mint to mint card. But as we know, centering is something that so many people are very cognizant of and give favor to, that this card is probably not going to appeal to the centering snobs. And I say snob with all due respect, but it will appeal to people who like corners, edges. The surface looks nice. The color looks good. So it's a great card overall. It is an 8. It's currently at $7,250. So just under $9,000 with the buyer's premium right now. Josh, anything on and that is a facsimile autograph. It's not really on the card, as I'm sure most people know. But Josh, before we move on to the Bobby Hull, I don't want to leave the Beliveau because it is such an important and high grade card.
Yeah, and this one for me, because I do classify as a centering snob, it would be hard for me, even though the rest of the card is beautiful, to drop the kind of money that's required. Interesting about this card is it last sold the exact copy, same registration number, on March 12th in the PWCC Weekly, and it went for $10,200. So it'd be interesting to see what it'll go for tonight.
Yeah, so either it didn't get paid for, which my understanding does not happen very often on PWCC, or the buyer, for whatever reason, is looking to now move on from it. So we'll see what it goes for. I have this card in a 5. I like my 5 is centered. I absolutely adore the Jean Beliveau rookie. I think it is such a classy looking card. So if somebody out there is interested in this card and you're okay with this centering, you're still getting that PSA 8 slab. A lot of people do buy the slab and not the card. And especially a lot of people that compete on the PSA set registry. So this is going to appeal to many people regardless. But let's talk about the Bobby Hull. 58 tops. This was, Josh, as I've said before, maybe you've heard me say it, back in about 1988-89, I started collecting the rookie cards of all the 1,000-point men in NHL history. And the first one that I went out to buy that was vintage was the Bobby Hull. I bought this right from Joe Daly Sports Cards. He's an ex-NHLer. I bought it from him. I had it graded. It came back a 5, I believe. And I was just thrilled. So Bobby Hull played for my Winnipeg Jets back in the WHA days. So I was a big fan of Bobby Hull. Saw him play live many times as a young kid. Love this card. This card, I look at it, I just feel so familiar to me. This is a 6.5. Let's take a closer look at it. So right away, again, we can see it's off-centered right to left and top to bottom. It seems to be positioned up to the top and to the right. But if you know anything about this card, you know the centered copies are very difficult to find. And this is actually quite well centered for a Bobby Hull rookie card. This is the last card in the set as well. This is card number 66. As we know, first and last cards are often plagued by elastic marks right around the edges because, of course, kids would stack them up, put them in elastics. So this one has survived that. Doesn't seem to have that issues, but it does have the centering issue. I see a very obvious, I'm going to zoom in so you can see this, a quite obvious fisheye right there. So that's something, but that's not the end of the world for me, although my eye does go to it. So it's not a pro, that's for sure. It's not in the pros side of the pro and con analysis, but it's not that bad. And then you've got what I'm noticing is just some overall, some surface wear. You can sort of see some snow in the red jersey here, a little bit in the face. But again, these cards are difficult. There's not a lot of this card in high grade. I don't know what the population is, but there's going to be very few over and above 6.5. So, I'm a big fan of the card, of the Bobby Hull card overall. This is something for everybody to look at and decide, are you okay with it from a centering perspective? I think you should be, because this is just really tough to find centered. But does this fisheye bother you? Does the surface wear bother you at all? I think this card's going to do well, though, Josh, because these are just few and far between. So
Yeah, so I have a question that you may or may not know the answer to, but I've always kind of wondered. Do you know what causes fish highs?
I think, yeah, it's particles that get into on the printing plates or on the surface of the paper. That's my understanding. I'm sure I didn't do that justice. Jeff Morris, who's in the chat right now, worked at Pacific and Pinnacle. He'll know a lot. What does he say? He says, because of the way the presses were set up with that set, and he's talking about the 53 Parkers, almost all of the off-center cards on this Parker set have a wider left margin, and there are way fewer cards with wider margins on the right. Yeah, so that's helpful. I wonder, Jeff, if what you know about the Bobby Hull and why it's most commonly off-centered. Very quickly, Ricky calls out what I just said. So, I mean, I've talked to the people at PWCC, and I've been told that their non-payment rate is lower than 5%. I forget exactly what it was, but that's where I'm getting that from, Ricky. And anyway, take it for what it is. Hello to Name. Good to see ya. 90s hockey collector. And Jeff says you guys should have worn the special serial numbered refractor masks instead of just the plain ones.
There you go.
Toilets in the house. What's going on? How many screens do I need going at once? Love playoff. What? And now, before we went live, Josh, I went and looked at I went and turned on the Boston, Florida game 7. There was like 3 minutes left. I looked at the score on my phone. By the time I got my TV up and running, Florida had tied it up 3-3. Is that now? It's probably an intermission before they go into overtime, but I'm going to make sure I have this kind of ready to go for me. And yeah, oh no, overtime's already 3 minutes in, and it's still 3-3. So sudden death overtime there. We will see what happens. But in any event, let's get back to this Bobby Hull. You know, let me ask you, Josh, this fisheye here that is, to me, this would be the most significant defect of the card for me. I don't mind this surface wear where we see a little bit of snow here, and I don't mind the centering on this card. How do you feel about this blue circle that kind of just floating here in no man's land?
For me, fisheyes don't really bother me.
Did Montour? Sorry. Name. If you're talking about the game tying goal, great. But you just had me thinking that they just won. Please, Name. Please don't scare me like that. Although I am pulling for Florida here. Sorry, Josh. Please go ahead.
I was just saying, fisheyes personally don't bother me that much. So this is a card that I think the centering is relatively good. The other thing I think is really unique is you don't see many PSA 6.5s. I don't think. And in fact, this is a pop 2. So, there's not a lot of sales history. I think the last one that had sold per card letter is back in 2016. It went for $67.70 US. So again, money. Pop 2.
It's good money back. Do you still have the population up for this card?
I do.
I'm curious how many are graded higher total. How many 7s, 7.5s, 8s all the way without the qualifier call?
I was going to ask you that.
No qualifiers. I don't count those.
So there's 36 PSA 7s, 7 PSA 8. So that is 43, 2 PSA 9. So 45 graded higher. Not a lot.
45. And how many 6.5s did you say? 2?
2.
So this is one of the top 47 cards according to PSA. Doesn't mean it's one of the top that exists, because I'm guarantee you there are 6s that look better than this 6.5, but that doesn't matter. This is well, it matters, but it is what it is. This card is still in this X-Mint Plus holder as assessed by PSA, and I can tell you the centering on this is pretty good. I've seen enough of these in my day. I own 2 of them right now to tell you that this has really good centering as far as this card goes. As Josh, the fisheye doesn't really bother Josh that much. My eye goes to it, and that's what is bothersome to me. But again, it's personal preference. So overall, the card is currently sitting at $62.50 plus another $12.50 or so. So it's sitting right at $7,500. So not that much higher than what it was back in the day, Josh, in 2016 when you quoted that comp.
Yeah.
So Jeff Morris here says, my family owned a printing press for about 75 years. The fisheye is caused by bubbling on the negatives in the plating process. The Topps cards were printed on 132 up forms with a glutter on the sides and the top bottom. The Topps cards were cut much more cleanly than later O-Pee-Chee were. So Jeff Morris, does that mean that this fisheye is not due to a foreign particle getting in there, and it's actually a bubbling of the printing plate or something, because I'd really like to clarify that so I can be informed moving forward. Josh, I also brought up this 65 Topps Gordie Howe, and you probably know why I did that, Josh. It's because collecting player runs, I believe, is one of these ways that we can create our own checklist. You know, we don't need to be a slave to the 65 top set or whatever set it is. You can just pick a player and go for all of his cards or her cards, or, you know, maybe you want some of the all-star subset cards or record breakers. Maybe you don't. Gretzky or Gordie Howe are collected that way by many people. And this is it's a PSA 8. Let's open it up, though. I just want to have a better look at the centering. So like the last two cards, it is off center. It's leaning to the right, but I do believe it's within the PSA 8's standards for a near mint to mint card. Nice looking card from 65 Topps, which is a great year as far as the rookie card class. You got Phil Esposito, Yvonne Cornwallier in there, Eddie Jacquemin. You've got many great rookie cards in this series. And so to have the Gordie Howe, not a bad card to pick up. It's at $350 in PSA 8. Josh, any comments on the Gordie Howe?
A really cool card. Obviously a great representation for this card. Again, a little bit off to center, but that's fine. And it's my broken record Gordie Howe comment, but almost this card more than any, he looks more like a grandpa than a hockey player.
He really does. He really does. I certainly agree with that. And Jeff Morris confirms that that's correct. It's a bubbling issue on the printing process, because sometimes we see cards that have a series of fish eyes. Like you can have cards have dozens of them, a dozen to dozens of them. So that means that, like, how do they rectify that going forward? I would wonder, do they relay down the printing plates so that the next series of runs don't have it, or does it only happen at the end? I'm not sure, but if Jeff feels like answering, that'd be great. So Josh, I also wanted to highlight the 69 O-Pee-Chee Serge Savard. So Serge Savard isn't one of these guys that, you know, as far as old Montreal Canadiens goes, he's not really discussed in that Ken Dryden, Guy Lafleur, Maurice Richard, Jacques Plante kind of discussion, but he's kind of in that next tier, and he's a bit of a cult hero as well. And this is a very tough card to find in good condition. This 6 looks really nice to me from here, but let's zoom in and see if we can spot why it isn't graded higher. And, you know, the centering, I'm just going to zoom out again. Centering, maybe it's situated a little bit high on the cardboard canvas. Left to right looks perfect. I'm measuring this border here to the gap between the edge and the blue defense, the blue circle there, and up here at the stick. Side to side looks perfect. It might be situated a little bit high, but the card looks really nice to me. Maybe a little bit of excess ink or ink coming through from the reverse, but that doesn't bother me. Yeah, I mean, without looking at the back, and we're not going to, and that's just for the purposes of bandwidth. I like this 6. Like this would be welcome in my collection, Josh. I'm really happy with mid-grade vintage cards in my PC. This would be welcome in my collection if Serge Savard was a rookie card that I was pursuing. Do you know about Serge Savard, Josh? Are you familiar with him? How do you like the 69 O-Pee-Chees?
I love the set. I don't know a lot about Savard, and man, that seems like a really nice 6 to me.
It does.
Surprised it doesn't have like an eye appeal rating or something like that. And I was interested when you said that's really tough to find in good condition. So it is a pop 38. It looks like there's about 44. It's about 79 graded higher. So not a lot for a mid-grade card like this, but yeah, I love the set. The design is awesome.
I love the stick coming down the side. I love where the position in the image of a puck there. And this is the reason why I said that it's hard to find in high grade isn't because I knew the population. It's because whenever I've watched one of these cards sell in like 6, 7, or 8, they always sell for more than I was expecting them to. That's why my gut was telling me and that it was tough to find in high grade, which it is. We all from the same series, the Stanley Cup, one, not the first card to depict the Stanley Cup, but a pretty nice card of the Stanley Cup. And the reason why I think it's nice is because it's just done in this sort of black and white with I don't know what this photography effect is called, where it's kind of bluish there, but it's not a colorful card. You can tell that the cup they're trying to make it look silver. I think they did a good job. They called the Stanley Cup winner of NHL playoffs. I know that these cards appeal to a lot of people. Panthers win. Oh my goodness.
Oh my gosh.
The Panthers knocked out the Boston Bruins. Is that so? Wow. My app hasn't updated yet, but that's unbelievable. Good for them. 3 in a row. Wow. Okay. Sticking to the program. I think it's cool. I've never owned this card. The Stanley Cup hologram that came out in 1990 Pro Set is a card that I think a lot of people do covet. And then they might say, what other cards have the Stanley Cup? And they might come back and buy this one. So I'm curious if the buyer of this tonight is going to be someone who already owns that. Maybe they're just going for the 69 set. I don't know. But either way, pretty cool card. What do you think?
Yeah, I like it. Typically, these kind of cards aren't my thing. But this one, I like the blue sort of, like, it's almost like a sepia tone, but it's just more of a blue tone. And it is, PSA 6 has never sold. So it is pretty, not a ton have been graded. Only 220 have been graded. It's a pop 22. It looks like there's one 35. There's a bunch graded higher. So it's not like I would say an uncommon card. And if you do collect trophy cards, which the NHL certainly is known for that, I think this would be a really neat one to have.
I'm looking at it, and I don't know if it's an optical illusion, but it seems to have some tilt to it to me. I think there's tilt.
Yeah.
Or it's diamond cut a little bit. I'm just kind of noticing that this here looks a little bit narrower than down here. But along the side here, it seems to be the same width, the border. And then I'm looking at the bottom of the card, and it seems to be lying flat in the PSA slab. But then as you come up the left side here, the border seems to veer into the right a little bit. Seems to do the same thing over here, making me think this card might be diamond cut. So more of a parallelogram than a rectangle, if that makes sense. Either way, it's in the slab. It's been graded an X Mint 6. So I'm sure someone's going to enjoy owning that. And then also from 69 Peachy is the Gordie Howe no number card. This is a card. Let's see if we'll get the picture up here. This is a card that doesn't. Oh, I hit the wrong thing. Let me just close that out so we save our bandwidth here and go to open image in new tab, not link. So here we go. Mr. Hockey, no number. This was a commemorative card of Gordie Howe. It might have been commemorating him retiring the first time, something like that. You know what, Josh? We're going to take a risk here, and we are going to take a look at the back of this card because I want to remember what it was commemorating here. Actually, we'll just do this so we can then. All right. So let's close that out and go to here. Gordie's played for 23 seasons, only missed 1 year. Every time he plays. So it's not really telling us what records he holds. I'm not sure what it's commemorating, if anything, but nonetheless, it's a pretty cool card. It's a nice looking card. I like this yellow border around here. Looks to be really well centered. It's a PSA 9. So let's just take a bit of a closer look at it. Centering is not perfect, but not bad. Looks to have some scratches, but those I can tell are on the slab, not the card. Yeah. And I can tell because I see them coming down below the card. So not to be worried about that being card damage. That is just slab damage. But pretty cool card. And even back then, he was Mr. Hockey. What do you think about this one?
Well, this is actually one of the ones we covered on our show. He had 3 cards in the 1969 set. And this one, of course, you said is a Mr. Hockey. It is the no number error. But actually, it's supposed to be number 193.
Oh.
Ironically, though, the corrected version is the more rare. So this is the more common version with no number. One of the things, and here again, I'll put you on the spot, ask you another question. But when I was looking at this card, when we were recapping it on our podcast, it got me thinking, when did he get the nickname Mr. Hockey? And I did a whole bunch of research and I couldn't find anything that spoke to either who gave him that nickname or when it happened. Do you happen to know that?
I can't remember. I'm sure I've heard the story, but I don't know. I don't know. I don't know. Must have been after he broke some records and became the, maybe the records that are shown on the back of this card, perhaps once he captured the last of those, he became dubbed Mr. Hockey. But, it's fitting for him. Like, and until Wayne Gretzky, he was, the best player in the history of the game in most people's opinions. And, if you go back, there was a movie that came out called The Rocket, which was really a story about the Rocket Richard, Maurice Richard. And these two had epic battles, Detroit, Montreal. There were only 6 teams back then, so every game was a rivalry. And I would recommend trying to find that movie and watching. It came out at least 10 years ago now, and I loved it. And if you don't know much about Maurice Richard, you want to learn more about him, go do it, and you'll see Gordie Howe, and not Gordie himself, played by an actor, but you'll see some of their epic battles. Really awesome stuff.
And to give you a little indication on the difference between the no number and the card with the number, I believe there's something like 192 pop count on this one, and there's only 5 PSA 9s that have the number.
Interesting. Okay, well, thank you for that information. Good to know if you're bidding on it. It's only $220. I don't know if that's good or bad, but seems decent for a mint condition Gordie Howe from 1969. But definitely check your comps if that's how you like to roll, and make sure you're comfortable before you bid on that one. All right, Josh, in this next row, 2 Wayne Gretzky's and a Mario Lemieux. Now, there are more Wayne Gretzky's rookies in the auction, but we're just going to look at these two. They're both O-Peaches. I tend not to look at the Topps offerings unless they are, a high grade. But I wanted to look at this one here because this is an SGC slab authentic. Oh, wrong button. Hold on one second. It does say color added. So I kind of looked and right away you can see what's going on. Bottom right corner here. Now, I don't know. I can't tell you that this was deliberately added. I just don't know what this is. Is this a stain? Is the color added only? Is it only these 2 little lines? See what I'm circling here with my mouse? Like there's 2 little lines there almost. I wonder if those were added to color in some stock there, or is it this whole thing that just looks like a water stain or something to me along the bottom? But I have to think that this is what the color added is referring to, because everywhere else I look, I'm not seeing anything too obvious. Up on the left here, you've got a bit of some it's like snow, but I think that might be the result of being in a brick for a long time, like a 1-inch lucite screw down perhaps. And when it was open, it took off a bit of the gloss, maybe a bit of the surface. I'm not sure if that was actual paper loss. Well, it is authentic, so that might actually be little bits of paper loss due to, again, it being stuck in a brick. I'm not sure what that really is. I'm just speculating there. But overall, I mean, you probably can get a decent Gretzky rookie here, because we zoom out, look at how beautifully centered this is side to side, almost perfect, if not perfect. Top to bottom, it's situated a little high, but inoffensive. The oil drop is almost, if not perfectly placed in its pocket right here. Like, you can tell at least the magenta plate was, the yellow is definitely a little bit down and to the right. So there is a slight registration issue there, which we also see coming down the legs where you see that yellow shadow, Josh, on both of his legs. So, but I also like to look at the Edmonton Oilers. They're on the same plane, the magenta being the stronger printing plate than the yellow. But if we really zoom in on the word Oilers, we can see that the yellow is shadowing the orange quite a bit. We have a few little, gaps in the word Edmonton, just where maybe the ink didn't lay down properly. I'm sure Jeff Morris could brief us better on that, but how that happens. But overall, not a bad copy of this card for what is probably going to go for a low price, not low relatively, just low generally, because it's authentic color added. So I don't know, a neat copy. What are your thoughts on this, Josh? Just as far as everything that's kind of been done to this card.
Well, it's a shame because the card's got so much else going for it. And
Yeah.
that staining that bottom right corner does really distract me. But yeah, like you said, if you've always wanted a Gretzky rookie and you don't have a big budget, and it's not a bad, it definitely is very presentable. And when you mentioned the bricks too, it just made me think how many cards have been wrecked by those big bricks that were screwed down too tight.
Yeah, I'm sure I once once happened to me. I had a 2001, I think it was a '01 Upper Deck Premier Collection Pavel Datsyuk rookie. It was in great shape. It was in some sort of I don't know if it was a brick or just a one touch, what it was, or screw down. But when I took it out, I lost a bunch of the surface to that holder,
Yeah.
and that was a kick in the teeth at the time for sure. So plenty have. We also have a PSA 6 copy of the card. Let's have a look at this one. I can tell right away, side to side looks good for centering, really good. Maybe a tad off, but really nice. Top to bottom, also very good. The centering on this card, I think, is really nice overall. I don't think there's any tilt here. I don't think there's tilt. Oil drop seems to be sitting in its pocket, only a little bit high, but very nice nonetheless. No registration issues in the legs here. Let's have a look up here. Edmonton and Oilers on the same plane. We can see the word Edmonton is printed really nicely. You've got the rough cut on the left edge here. Definitely, this top corner here is easily within the range of a 6. Doesn't bother me at all. The angle, I would say it's not like a real sharp 90-degree angle. So there's something going on there, but looks really good nonetheless. As we come down, bottom right corner, not perfect, but not terrible. Bottom edge, your typical O-Pee-Chee cut. And the left edge here has a more serious O-Pee-Chee rough cut, but yeah, right here you can see real serious rough cut. So I like an O-Pee-Chee. I like the rough cut on the O-Pee-Chee, but this is a bit more than I like, really. I don't like where you see this much stock. I prefer to see the fray to the stock. So this is, it's a legit O-Pee-Chee rough cut, but maybe not, a little bit too rough for me. And then finally, if I just look at the card from here, I'm seeing some action right in here. These little white specks, right? We're seeing a bunch of white specks. I don't know what these are. If these are on the slab, are they on the card? I can't tell. Is this a scratch on the card? Is this on the slab? I just can't tell. So, this is the card where if I was seriously interested in buying it, I probably would have fired off an email to PWCC and asked them for some information on what's going on in this area of this card. Because outside of that, it's it's pretty nice if you're okay with the rough cut over here, which is typical. It's a pretty nice copy overall, I would say. What do you think, Josh?
It's a really nice copy. That left edge, though, I think would be the biggest area of concern for me. Like you said, I want to see the white and not necessarily the more tan like stock of the card. But man, for centering and registration is pretty decent on the card. At a PSA 6, right, you're going to have trade-offs.
Yeah.
You're going to have some major defects. And so I think it just comes down to which ones you can live with and which ones that are too distracting for you. But I don't know. I think overall, this is a really attractive card.
It is. And I'm just looking also, I often will call out the gaps between these thin black lines and the blue borders. And this is, there's a minor sliver of white right in here.
Yeah.
Not too bad. That wouldn't bother me. I mean, it was not ideal, but it's not that bothersome. But overall, compared to some others we see it over here as well. Yeah. It's better than many we've seen, but it's not perfect. That's for sure. So, but those are the two Gretzky's. It does have the PWCC above average eye appeal rating right there, so the top 30%. But I think that's kind of fair. I don't mind this card at all, and even that left edge. That I don't love that left edge. I'll leave it at that. Oh, okay. Next up, O-Pee-Chee, Mario Lemieux, rookie card in a PSA 9 holder. So let's take a look at this card. Centering on these cards is often very tricky, and it can even be, there can be some like optical illusion, simply the way you have this funky border here on the top of the card. But it's quite obvious to me that this card has a couple degrees of tilt counterclockwise. The border up here it's much narrower than the border down here. And likewise over here, this border right here is narrower than over here, and certainly as we go up higher on the card. So it's got tilt. That is enough of a tilt that I would not buy this card for myself. I would not be happy with this card as in my collection as my representation of a Mario Lemieux rookie card. That said, I would expect it to sell accordingly. It should sell for, I would call this a less than average, a below average 9 based on that alone, just from an eye appeal perspective. But if we're looking at other attributes, corners, edges, it's tough to tell sometimes with these white borders, but they look really clean to me. Surface, I'm not seeing any of, similar to what we saw on that Gretzky rookie, that PSA 6. I'm not seeing any of those surface issues on this card. So, if this centering was perfect, maybe this is a PSA 10. Maybe.
Yeah.
But tough to say. Overall, again, nice enough card. But if tilt offends you for your own collection, and it does me, I wouldn't be picking up this particular copy. If you're the consignor of this card, I apologize. But if you're someone who's looking to buy it, get into a PSA 9 for below average price, I think this might be your opportunity. Currently sitting at $2,500, certainly below where I think they've been selling for in that like around $4,000 level, even a bit higher more recently. Josh, do you have any comps?
Yeah, last sale on a PSA 9 was April 18th for $3,000 US. So it is right in the ballpark. And like you were saying about, I think this is a card because it's a pop 625 that you can be pretty picky with, that it's going to come up for sale often enough. And you want to make sure that if the tilt doesn't bother you and you you're right. I mean, almost every other aspect of the card seems perfect. Then maybe this is the one for you. Or if the tilt does bother you, there's probably, with 625 PSA 9s, there's probably a better copy from that perspective.
Yeah, for sure. I've owned several PSA 9s in this card, and I've inspected them over and over again. And so I'm very picky when it comes to the centering on a 9, especially because that's the sweet spot for me. I've never owned this in a PSA 10, but I probably owned 8 PSA 9s of this card over the years. And so, yeah, I can definitely let you know, you will find better centered 9s. There's no doubt about it. But it's even in 9, it's tough to find a perfectly centered Lemieux where this optical illusion isn't there, where it seems like the top left edge almost curls in a bit. So
yeah,
just be mindful of that when you're shopping for your Lemieux rookie. All right. Continuing on, Josh, I pulled up this, again, we talked about with the 65 Gordie Howe doing the Gordie Howe run. I'm personally working on the Wayne Gretzky run. So this 87 O-Pee-Chee in the BGS 9.5 holder sticks out to me as a very nice card. As we've said on the show time and time again, you need to be aware that BGS 80s and 70s O-Pee-Chee cards may not be pack pulled. They may be sheet cut after the fact. If you're okay with that, then great. This one is consistent. The subgrades are consistent with the sheet cut card, i.e. not pack pulled, because the surface is the lowest grade. And these things were rolled up in like posters, and the surface would have some wear. So perhaps the surface has a bit of wear. Corners are perfect, which might make sense from somebody who's doing the sheet cutting. Centering, very close to perfect. Edges, 9.5. A lot of people don't care if a card is sheet cut. They're happy to have them. So this is something that'll probably go to somebody like that. What's this currently sitting at? $175. I'm not sure what like a PSA 10 in this would sell for, but probably I'm guessing, if I remember, at least last time I looked was probably a year ago, about $1,500. I'm guessing. Josh, any information?
Yeah, the last sale was in December 29th for $486, but it was a Gem Mint plus, so it had 2 10s. Prior to that, there was a Well, I can look right now. A minimum gem that sold for 270 in February of last year. So I think it's got a lot of it's going to come down, as we know, with BGS 9.5 as to what that subgrade configuration is and whether it's a high end BGS 9.5 or a low end one.
So right now it's sitting at what, 210 or so with buyer's premium. Not bad and especially if you're collecting the Gretzky run in BGS holders or BVG for his rookie card. This is probably going to fit right in. It's not perfectly centered, and they gave centering a 9.5, and that might be within standards, but I can easily see that it's a little bit wider on the right than it is on the left. Top to bottom seems to be bang on to my eyes. So overall, a decent copy. Let's take a look at this one. It's an SGC 8 of the 88 Topps card. So this is his first card to ever come out with him pictured with the LA Kings. This is at the press conference, $31. Josh, we've talked about this card before. I just love this card. I want my Gretzky run would include the Topps card versus the O-Pee-Chee, whereas everything else would be O-Pee-Chee. I'd probably get the O-Pee-Chee as well. Right now I only own the Topps. I don't believe I own the O-Pee-Chee counterpart of this card, but I just love this card. $31. It's a bit of a discount because maybe it's in the SGC holder, but $31 for this. You're basically buying it as if it was raw, I would think.
Sure.
Right around there. But it's a nice card. I actually don't mind. I usually don't like this black inlay that SGC has in their slabs, but it looks decent against the white border of this card. So
I was just going to say that this is a card that looks really good in an SGC holder.
Yeah. And then I wanted to highlight this 89 Sports Illustrated for Kids Wayne Gretzky. It's in a PSA 8 near mint to mint holder. Josh, I own the Tiger Woods SI for Kids rookie card, I'll call it. So whenever I see an SI for Kids card, I think, they're so, and don't take this the wrong way, anybody, but they're so ugly. Like, look at, I don't know how you could take that the right way, but this green camo sort of pattern to me is so ugly that I love it. It's like, it's just one of those things that may be reminiscent of the time. It's like, it's such an eyesore, but what it is as soon as you look at it. These are SI for Kids cards. And this is, I believe, the first time Gretzky was in SI for Kids. So kind of a cool card, not that valuable. It's only at $31. But, again, if you're doing a Gretzky run with the oddballs, you got to have this card, I would think. What do you think?
Well, this was right in my youth wheelhouse. So I was 12 years old when these came out, and I had an SI for Kids subscription. So I remember getting these right in the middle, right? You had the tear sheet where you could get all these cards. So it speaks to me from that nostalgic perspective. The thing that I just don't understand is how PSA grades these, especially on the corners and edges.
Well, so, my thoughts on that, and I have read their standards. So first of all, what is neat about this card is that only 3 edges have the perforation, right? This was the edge of the page. So the right side is a clean edge, but the top left and bottom have perforation. So I think as far as corners, you have a problem here. There's no perforation right on the corner, but you definitely have some corner. You definitely have some corner surface wear. Where there are perforations, I think as long as they were clean tears, they're not going to penalize. Like, this looks like a pretty clean tear all the way up. But look at the very top. I do believe that is a perforation on the very top corner, like right on it. And you also you can tell that there's some corner surface wear there as well. So I think that they probably got penalized for that corner. And the bottom corner, this one looks pretty good, actually. There's a perforation there, but it seems like the surface makes it all the way into the corner, at least to me. The edge looks good, a little bit of, not perfect there. And then you come down here and also seems to be a perforation right there. But I think that's reflection there. I think that it was actually that there's not a lot of corner surface wear there. I'm not 100%. What I don't like about this is how the card is kind of floating around inside this PSA holder. PSA is often challenged to put the card in the right holder. They just kind of don't have the right holder on hand all the time. So like, I would prefer that, and you'll see later on, there's a card that's completely just like in the wrong place. I wish that they just had holders that fit the cards that they accepted, but in any event, I think it's a cool oddball piece for a collection. I like the card. That's why I want to look at it. All right, moving on. So here we're moving into a lot more modern stuff now. Why is Jeremy looking at a 1990 Upper Deck base card? Well, because look at how awesome this card looks of Steve Yzerman. Maybe his best card ever in terms of just simple image. Like, I just love it. It's in that this is in game. Look at the fierce look on his face. You see the Captain C right there. Yep. You know, he's like edging on his skate right now. It's a PSA 10. I don't know what the population is of this. No idea. But if you were collecting cards in 1990, this was a great card to hit. And it just was very nostalgic for me. So I love the card. Simple as that. $29. I mean, you can buy this card raw for under $1. But, you know, if you want it dressed up in a PSA 10 slab, you're going to pay a bit more. And especially if you're working on a Steve Yzerman run, this would be a great card to represent 1990. Josh, any thoughts on this one?
Love it. It's one of my favorite sets, of course. It's the first Upper Deck hockey set with the Sergei Fedorov Young Guns, which is the hockey card that got me into collecting. And so I'll always have a soft spot for, I know it's junk wax era kind of hockey, but I've always loved that set.
Me too. I mean, all of a sudden we had a hologram on the back for security. All of a sudden we had a full color photo of the player on the back that was different than the photo on the front. Nowadays, they use the same photo on the front and the back. It's a great card. Listen, this is a card for, I would say, for someone who just wants to have a card to look at and enjoy. This is a fun collector type card. These should all be fun collector cards, but this one is really, I think, only fits in that bucket. Moving on, we're going to now move forward 15 years to 2005, and this is a rookie year Alexander Ovechkin autograph card. Josh, when I first looked at this card, I had to zoom in and confirm that it wasn't a sticker auto, and I don't believe it is. I do believe that this is an on-card auto. Rookie year for Ovechkin, population 1 of 5. There are 6 graded higher. It's a BGS 9 with the 10 auto. It's at $3,000. I mean, I don't know what a rookie year LeBron autograph would sell for, and I know basketball and hockey aren't the same thing, but this is a pretty good card, and there's I believe it's out of 25. So this is a rare rookie year Ovechkin on card auto with a pretty nice portrait of him. I like this background as well, whatever that kind of black, bluish marble. Let's take a bit of a closer look, Josh, while you make your comments.
Yeah, well, here's another case where I think if you scroll up to the registration number, yep, this exact copy sold in March 12th, again for $4,680 US. I think it's a cool card. I'm not a big portrait guy. It looks like a class photo.
Yeah,
to me, almost. You got like the tie on. He does look young there. Holy cow!
Oh yeah.
But it's a nice autograph. I think almost nicer than some of the more recent OV autographs from what I've seen. And it's listed, it's a Ovechkin rookie auto out of 25. So that makes it just special from that perspective.
Yeah. And I understand. I've heard you say that about portraits before. And I love that you have a position on it at all, like it's just cool to have a preference. So, but rookie year, that's definitely a picture from the draft. Number 425, eBay 101, guys. One half of the jersey number. So in any event, it's a BGS 9, and it's a pretty nice rookie year card for Alexander Ovechkin. Next up is this card here. Listen, I mean, I don't know how many people are chasing Frank Mahovlich and Darryl Sittler. They are bona fide Hall of Famers. They are all-time greats for the Toronto Maple Leafs. But the reason why I really wanted to look at this card is just because of what it is. Noble numbers, as far as I remember, and from your masterclass series with Mitch Grotman, I believe they only did noble numbers 1 year, the first year being 05-06. And this card, you've got game used pieces of 2 of the best Maple Leafs of all time in Mahovlich and Sittler. 05-06, the cup is spectacular in its own right. Only 27 copies made, matches the jersey number. The only thing that would improve this card would be some autographs. I am looking at it now and wondering if this right here is like a crease in the patch window. This actually might be a little bit of a bump, which I think, I'd like to know that. Over there, we might have some action right there as well. I'm not sure, but just calling attention to it so that if you do buy this card and it comes and you realize that there's a bit of a crease in here, at least, I've been able to make those of you aware who are actually watching that. Now, I may be completely wrong. That just might be the photo or the lighting, but the lighting on the rest of the foil doesn't seem to do that. So I am inclined to think that this is a bit of a crease that's, only a couple millimeters wide and might go to there as well. So keep in mind, but a pretty cool card that you just do not see often anymore. And that's why I wanted to bring it up. Currently at $42. That's a great deal. I think that's a great deal. I can't see it lasting there. So there you go. Josh, make some comments on this, and then I will go to some of the chat comments.
The price is what really stands out to me. That $42. And Mitch had said this when he did his masterclass. Well, now both parts on the cup, in that, sure, we think of a McDavid RPA going for $200,000, right? But there's lots of really, really amazing cup cards that you can still get for almost nothing, right? And just like you said, you have Mahavlich, you have Sittler, game used material for $40. It's incredible.
It's incredible. It really is. Yeah, it's a cool. Even if that is a little crease, like that won't. I'm sure that won't dissuade someone who's looking for this card from buying it, because they want the card, they want the mem, and those two. That's a really cool player combination. Okay, let's go back in time and address why is Gordie Howe called Mr. Hockey? LGC here makes the comment: did Wayne Gretzky call Gordie Howe Mr. Hockey when he was asked about how he compared himself to Gordie Howe? Just something in the back of my mind. Could be. That would make sense to me that Wayne Gretzky gave him that name. Jeff Moore.
But think about that though, Jeremy. Just is that was a 1969 card, so Wayne Gretzky would have had to coin him Mr. Hockey when he was what?
4.
Yeah, 4.
Thanks for catching that, Josh. Sorry, LGC, that has been debunked. But let's come up with your next best speculation on that. Jeff says that in the 1990s, there were a number of card correcting services that popped up. And we're talking now about the authentic color added Gretzky O-Pee-Chee in the auction here. He says the corner looks exactly like the card was worked on. So thank you, Jeff, because when we were looking at it, I was thinking, is that a water stain or some sort of stain, or is that color added? So thank you very much for that. Jeff Morris goes on to tell us in 1979-80 O-Pee-Chee, the rough cuts are common because the press they used in London, Ontario, the home of O-Pee-Chee, used a wire cutter, while Topps printing press in the US was using blades on their press. Very interesting. Thank you very much for that, Jeff Morris. He goes on to tell us that tilt is caused by a calibration issue when sheets are fed through the cutter. Makes sense. So it's not a printing thing, it's a cutting thing, which is our two different parts of the overall process. Toilet says, aren't these all perforated? How would it be better? Agree, Toilet. It comes down to how well the perforation was executed when it was perforated. Was it sloppy? Was it, were scissors involved? I don't know, but very makes good sense to me. Jeff Moore, first of all, hello to Michael Ham. Good to see you, pal. Jeff says, Sports Illustrated for kids cards were very controversial in the 90s. There was a loophole that allowed magazines to insert cards in sheet form and have it considered editorial content, so they did not need a license. Well, then Toilet responds and says, doesn't sound like controversy, sounds smart. Well, it would have been controversial for the licensors, but smart by Sports Illustrated for kids, right? So any comments so far from you, Josh?
No, that's fascinating. And didn't know that about the SI for kids cards. But I'm enjoying the masterclass we're getting on the card printing process here. That's pretty awesome.
It is. Well, and Jeff was a guest on Sports Cards Live a couple of years ago now. I don't remember the episode, but he came on and he's a industry veteran going back to the 90s, Josh, somebody that you should probably hook up with for the Gong Show podcast. So Jeff Morris, I'd like to introduce you to Josh Madigan, and hopefully you guys can get on Jeff Morris can get onto the Hockey Cards Gong Show and maybe be part of the Pacific trading cards or Pinnacle discussion you will eventually have, Josh. Very nice. Very nice. The sports car professor says Daryl Sittler never won a cup, though. Many haven't. Marcel Dion, Dale Howardchuk, many players haven't. But I hear you, Professor. Goes on to say the PWCC has their MBA certification pictures. Yeah, so if you actually go into, well, let's do that. Let's go into this for a second and take a look and see if we can see on their sort of heat map of condition what's going on there. Let's see if they, so on the front of the card, you see this line here and this little circle here. You can see they have corner, they're highlighting corner issues, that corner and that corner down there. But this one here on the front, let's just take a quick look at this and see they don't have anything here. I'm still not convinced. I'm not convinced that there isn't it. Look at this line here.
Yeah.
I almost think that NBA missed this. I don't think NBA looked at the patch window. I just saying. That's my personal opinion. Personally, I'd be proceeding thinking that is a crease myself. But thank you, Sports Card Professor, for bringing that to our attention, that they do have that heat map, which is very good as long as it's identifying all the issues. And I think it missed that one right there myself. But if they could prove me wrong, that would be awesome as well. Name loves the Leaf duel, the Sittler-Mahovlich. Professor says that the crease between the 2 and 7 did not show up, which we see, but I think they missed it. I just think they missed it, Professor. Decoy Cards talking about the SI for kids. Avoiding licensing is similar to trading card games like Pokemon, not having to include ads on the packs, as it is technically a game and not a collectible. Interesting. Toilet says popularity of the product solves that pretty quickly, though. Yes, it does. And so on and so forth. Okay. Thank you very much, everybody, for those comments. Josh, let's keep on trucking through the cards, because in 3 minutes, we're going to start losing some to being over. 2005-6 Trilogy, Sidney Crosby rookie and a BGS 9 holder. This is numbered out of 999, so way rarer than a Young Guns, but way cheaper, $230. I think cards like this in the artifacts are absolute value buys because they are numbered, and I'm only saying that in comparison to the Young Guns. Even though the Young Guns are super important and widely collected, I think this is a pretty cool pickup. And I want to look at the subgrades on this one, Josh, and then we'll get some comments from you on the Trilogy. So edges are an 8.5. I prefer that they weren't, but they don't look bad to me, at least on the front of the card. I'm not seeing anything to bring them down that low to an 8.5. I can't really tell what's going on. There's some glare at the bottom here. Can't really tell if there's any edge issue down there behind that kind of glare from the BGS slab, but overall, these edges look really nice to me. Centering, corner, surface. I can't say anything wrong. I think it's a great card personally. I don't own one, but I do really like it. What do you think, Josh?
I really like the design. It's an interesting card.
Yeah.
Where you don't typically see lettering over the player like that, but it really works, I think, in this design. And like you said, it's a really good value buy compared to a Young Guns or, which is going to have a huge population count. And so if you want to get a really cool looking Crosby rookie that's got a decent grade to it, I think this is a good pickup.
I do too. And really, I listen, I don't know comps. So what I'm about to say, I could be way off, but it looks like a really good price for this card. If they're selling raw for $200, then maybe this isn't a really good price, but I don't know what they're selling for raw. Only 999 of them. I mean, that's a pretty big number, but compared to some of the Young Guns, it's the same print run as his SP Authentic Future Watch Auto at 999.
Yeah, and I think just one more comment on that, if you go back to it, is as I'm looking at other comps, it seems like that there's a foil behind him on all the other cards, and it doesn't really show. This is actually not a great photo of this card. Like when there's a rainbow foil to it that, all the other comps I'm seeing, it looks a lot better.
Yeah, I tried to open up to see if we could get a better visual, but they didn't put this one on the revolving camera, I guess, part as just being a weekly item. But okay, let's I agree. It is a cool card. I like it a lot. And I have his artifacts, which to me satisfies that need at that like 750 print run version of his rookie card. So this isn't what card that I covet, but I still think it's a good buy for the print run and Sidney Crosby. Oh, and it has now officially sold. Oh, maybe not. We'll wait till
Yeah.
this thing settles in. Okay, next up, another NBA certified authentic card. This is the 2007 Emblems of Endorsement. Alexander Ovechkin dual patch on card auto, which is just a blazer of an look at that autograph. I mean, that autograph is gorgeous. It's super bold, super bright blue. Doesn't seem to be a gap in it anywhere. I mean, a minor white little right there in the corner. This is a beautiful card. You got the 3-color patch right here. That's actually a 3-color patch. There's a bit of navy up in the corner there. Only 15 made. This is a great card. It's a great card. I really like it. I mean, I really like it, but I'd get it out of this holder as soon as I could because I do not these NBA stickers. I guess they're just really for inventory or whatever, but they do not like lend to the aesthetics of the card. I'll put it that way. What do you think, Josh?
Love this card. It's not a rookie, of course, but to find a card like this for roughly, what is it at, like $1,000, I think is a pretty good deal. And this is a card that again, nobody can predict the future, of course, but you look 10, 15 years down the road, I think that in a card like this comes up for auction, it's going to be highly sought after for a long time.
I think so too. I'm thinking about this card right now for myself. I like it so much. I'm not going to bid on it, but I'm tempted. PMG Blue 2012 Fleer Retro, numbered out of 50, has sold for $1,200, only 3 graded higher. Seems like a good price to me. Congratulations to the buyer. I think you got that. You got in on. Oh, it's a PSA 5, so it's EX condition, but even still, well, maybe not even still. Maybe I'm okay with that. Maybe I don't think it's a steal of a price. Maybe fairly priced. And again, I don't know comps. I'm just basing these comments on gut feel for this card. Any comments on this from you, Josh? I'm going to zoom in on it while you respond just to see if anything else pops out. Obviously, this edge here, but what do you think, Josh?
So go up to the registration number again. Yeah, this exact one sold in the PWCC Weekly at the beginning of January for just under 2,000 US. So buyer got a much better deal on that. And yeah, I don't know. I mean, as far as like the card itself, it has a lot of edge issues, but it's pretty common with PMG.
Yeah.
I like the card because I just think that the color of the background really complements the image of Ovechkin. He really pops off the background. So this is a card that I would be interested in.
Yeah, I like it too. All right, here's a Noise Boys, one of my favorite inserts from Fleer Retro 2012. Yes, Fleer Retro Thunder Noise Boys. This is a BGS 8, $250 right now, which is $300 with buyer's premium. Noise Boys, I'm just a big fan of the Noise Boys cards. I have been for a long time, so I wanted to watch this one. What do you think of the Noise? And it gets it. Noise Boys was originally from, I believe, 97. I forget the product that came out in basketball, but the Noise Boys Michael Jordan is like a key 90s Jordan insert, and this card is a tribute to that, and I really like it. I have it myself, and it's just a fun card. What do you think?
Love the Noise Boys. One of my favorite inserts. It's a card that we talked about on our show last Thursday too. So it was in 2012 Fleer Retro, 1 in 132 packs were the odds for it. You're right. It was 1998 Skybox basketball.
Thank you.
Where it came out. The top sale for that Jordan, a PSA 10, sold for $33,600 in February 2022. So again, a deep heritage, like you said, in basketball. I just love these cards. I'm guessing it's maybe a card that people either love or hate. I guess I don't know how universally liked it is, but for me, it's a card that I would really like. And the last, I don't think I could find a sale on a BGS 8. There's only 7 sales to date in Card Ladder sales history, but a PSA 8 did sell this past November for $400 US.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense to me. This is a 300 PSA is going to get a premium usually. This might have been sold unless this refreshes again for us, but it might have just sold. And this is a die cut card too, which some people love, some people don't love. So something for people to keep in mind. So it looks like it did sell for $300. Meanwhile, this Ovechkin National Treasures, Treasured Trophies on card auto at a 25 is at $340. You know, this is a nice looking card. I've always liked the looks of these. The autograph looks amazing. Panini didn't make hockey cards for very long, and this was the only time they made National Treasures. So if you want to get an Alexander Ovechkin NT auto, here's your chance. And it's sitting at $400 with buyer's premium right now. This might be a really good buy for somebody. I would actually put my own stamp of approval on this card. I like it that much. And a lot of people collected this set. So there's 25 made. I'm sure I've known at least 3 or 4 people that did the whole treasured trophy set. So, you know, a few of them are definitely sitting in permanent collections. So, Josh?
Love it. National Treasures, huge brand, of course, in the sports card world. Again, OV Auto out of 25 for $340. That seems like just a steal. I don't know any OV Auto that would be less than that right now.
Yeah. No, I think it's at 408 with buyer's premium. Needs a bid. It's going to die. It's going to sell in 3 minutes unless somebody bids. Yeah. You know, if without looking at the condition, unless there's a crease through it or something like that, which, you know, I'd recommend you, if you're thinking about this card, even based on what we're discussing right now or not, click into it, have a look at the NBA heat map, see if there's any damage, because right now this card seems like great value to me. And I guess, Josh, you concur. So that's good. All right. Moving on, a rookie year. Nathan MacKinnon, limited logos, 50 made on card auto, 4-color patch, PSA authentic, only 3 graded higher. So maybe 4 total ever graded is what I make of that. Beautiful card, great card. Yeah, I like this card a lot. 1,075 seems really cheap to me for a rookie year limited logos of maybe, you know, someone a top 5 current player in the NHL. Josh, I mean, what do you think of this?
I agree. And I wonder if it's the PSA authentic that is shying people away, because it almost doesn't seem to make sense that it's only at $1,000 right now.
Agreed.
It's limited logos. Again, very, very, very sought after subset of cards within the cup. It's numbered out of 50. It's a rookie. It's a beautiful patch. It's a really nice auto. Yeah, I just don't know if there's like an issue with the card, or did you look at it closer?
I didn't, but let's do it. Let's do it. It's still, the card is still alive, at least for another minute and a half. So let's go into it and take a peek and see if we can discern any additional information. We don't, they don't have the NBA heat map on this one for, I don't know why. So we really don't know if there's anything wrong with it. I would assume that maybe they don't put it on if there's nothing wrong with it. Or it was flashed, inserted kind of late. Maybe that's why. I don't know why, but
I don't know this set. That's not a stain on the left and bottom border, is it? The blue?
No, it's a marble effect there. I don't think it is. I don't think it is, but let's just zoom in. I mean, you can see, no, you see it. No, it's not. Okay. It's not. You know, slight surface issue right over here. So it looks like NBA, that's not the case. They should have picked that up. I mean, I don't know if they for sure do, but there's maybe some surface wear right there.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, these things don't bother me though about this card. This is one of 50 Nathan MacKinnon rookie year limited logos. And this is a 4-color. I don't know what the distribution is between of colors within this card, but this is a very nice card overall.
Really nice card.
Yeah, I would certainly be willing to add this one to my collection. I want to go back to here for a second because the professor here says that one hockey influencer used the term rookie card PMG. Is that an accepted concept for non-rookie hockey players who get their first PMG? Well, I don't know who you're talking about here, Professor. I'm sure I know them because I know most of the hockey guys, but I can tell you, you will never hear me calling it that. I do not approve, not that anyone needs my approval, but I personally do not approve of that terminology because it might be misleading. Rookie should only be used to describe a card from a rookie year. Or if it's a rookie tribute, like the most recent SP Authentic Legendary Signature All-Time Future Watch, that's a rookie tribute sort of thing, but it's certainly not a rookie card. No, that's I don't agree with that. I wouldn't use that terminology, and I don't think we should as a hobby. What do you think, Josh?
I agree with you 100%. I would use the term first PMG.
100%. That's exactly what it is. Just like first top, like it's like the Gordie Howe 54 tops. It's not his tops rookie. That doesn't make sense. It's his first tops card. So Josh is right on with that. Special one cards. What's going on? PWCC professor seems to be working for me. Thank you very much. Toilet says lots of super steals in the modern. How come no sweet blues? Terry Fortune won the Stanley Cup card from 69. Congratulations, nice. Terry. I think we both like that card. Very nice. Very nice. And CC says, I don't believe NBA does the graded cards. Well, that would make sense. Thank you for that. And Professor basically makes that same suggestion. So thank you guys for those comments. Does make sense to me. Let's keep on going though, Josh. I pulled up the Vasilevsky. I mean, he's out of the playoffs now, so I wonder if this card is going to take a hit, but this is probably his best rookie card outside of the Cup. SP Authentic Future Watch Auto out of $9.99, PSA 10. Doesn't get much better than that for a Vasilevsky rookie card. Only 13 made, sold for $750. I like this card. I think that's pretty decent. What do you think, Josh?
I think it's a really cool card. I love how his image kind of fades in where they make the spot for the autograph on the card. And yeah, he did not have the greatest, or he had a rough couple games in their series against Toronto, but he did rebound at the end. And listen, I think his standing as far as great goalies is settled anyway. So he's an all-timer. It's an awesome rookie. Love it.
Yeah, he had a good run there with some Stanley Cups. And, I do think, though, that while he's an all-timer, I don't think he's going to be remembered as such. Sure. I feel like he's going to be forgotten, where the market he plays in, the long, hard to read last name, believe it or not, that's going to cause a bit of, a hit to his hobby love. So, and maybe even his overall, unfortunately. But yeah, it's still, cool card, especially for Tampa Bay fan. Special one card says here, depressed about the Bruins losing, but trying to win the Ovi National Treasures, which is up to $370 now. So it has gone up a little bit since we last looked at it. The item has been extended to the next window. But moving on, Josh, rookie. I pulled this one up tonight, Josh, because it's a rookie year McDavid auto. I do believe this is a sticker auto. Let's just confirm that. And in sports aside from hockey, sticker autos are kind of like no problem. But in hockey, we seem to be more sticker snobs or on-card auto snobs. Now I'm looking at this. I can't see the outline of the sticker, so I might be wrong. This might not be a sticker auto. Does anyone know about that, Josh? What do you know? Do you think? Do you have an opinion?
It looks on card to me. Are you able to look at the back of the card? I'm curious if the jersey swatch is game used.
Okay, let's take a look then. Let's open it up. Toilet here makes a comment. I think Panini just rubs hockey collectors the wrong way, left some of those redemption open for 10 years and then sent points in. Yeah, I hear that, Toilet. That certainly rubs them the wrong way, but I don't think that impacts them wanting to buy certain cards. Use the rookie photo shoot jersey, Josh. Rookie photo shoot. Still, this thing sold for $5,160.
Well, it's a very entry level RPA for Connor McDavid, and it does bring up one of the. In general, I really love Upper Deck, but man, it seems like there's so few game used memorabilia in SP game used. I think they need to change the name.
Yeah, it is misleading actually. It is a misleading thing. It's almost like false advertising, but I'm sure they have a way around that, or there is a way around that. But it's also, I wouldn't call this an RPA. I would call this an RJA. It's a rookie jersey auto.
RJA.
right? But I hear you. I know the
Yeah.
short form slang for that now is simply RPA out of convenience. A McDavid Young Guns in a BGS 9.5 looks to be a true gem 9.5, sold for $18.60. And I don't know if we're going to see anything on page 2 here, but let's take a chance and go over there, Josh. We did have that Matthews Shield that was there. So that one seems to have disappeared on us. Let me find a way.
We should find that.
I know. Let's see. How do I do that now? Gosh, I don't even know. Refresh, maybe that's not going to do it. I don't know how to kind of search. I almost have to change something. Maybe we can go to here. And then I'm going to go back to week 67 and see what, okay, I already have those favorited for next week, Josh, which I'll be driving home from the Edmonton Expo. So I actually won't be able to do this show next week.
Okay.
There's the Ovi is still alive. Is that the only card still alive, or do I have a page 1 still? Maybe this is the last card alive here. So let's do this instead. Let's go find that. Let's go find that Austin Matthews 1/1 Shield. And how are we going to do that? We're going to look for closed items that I have favorited in hockey this week. Okay, so here we go. Now we have everything that's sold. We'll do that in 1 second. LGC here says the McKinnon Limited Logos rookie card is not game used. The exception for limited logos. That does make a difference to me, at least. So thanks for that information, LGC. All right, the Beliveau PSA 8 sold for $8,700. The Bobby Hull 6.5, wow. $8,400. The Gordie, whatever year, 15th year, does $456. Serge Savard in a PSA 6 does $222. Terry Fortunes buys his new Stanley Cup 6.9 O-Pee-Chee for $72, and the Gordie Howe does $264. The color added O-Pee-Chee Gretzky sells for $468. Meanwhile, a pretty nice PSA 6 does $2,880. And what I consider to be a below average PSA 9 Lemieux does $3,000. The Gretzky 87, $234. $55 for the Topps SGC 8 press conference Gretzky. And the SI for kids does $38. Yzerman sells for $38. Ovechkin rookie year marks of distinction on card auto at a 25 does $3,600. And this, I mean, $84 does seem like a steal to me, even with what I think is a crease right there. Trilogy Crosby, I think it's a bargain. You can get, I mean, to buy his Young Gun in the BGS 9, I think you can get five of these for one Young Guns.
Well, I think one comment that I would like to make on both Crosby and Ovechkin, and this is something to think about if you're a seller, is they didn't make the playoffs, and it's actually not, I don't think, a great time to sell these, that you would expect buyers to get really good deals because they're out of sight, out of mind, right? Think of that Ovechkin card in the middle of November or the end of November next year, if he gets off to a good start, has 6-7 goals in the first month, you're gonna have a much bigger buying audience. So I'm not shocked that there's kind of seller advantages on particularly Ovechkin and Crosby.
Agreed with those comments. The Ovechkin number of endorsement $1,260. I mean, we should all be kicking ourselves for not grabbing that card. I think that's a great deal right there. Congrats to the winner of that one. So far, that would be my favorite, my bargain of the night. $1,200 on that. We talked about the Noise Boys does $300, the McKinnon Limited Logos. And as Terry Fortune just let us know, the Kraken are up 2-0 basically midway through the game. So these guys, look at all these big teams being eliminated already. Boston, Tampa, possibly the Colorado Avalanche tonight. This opens things up, guys. What an exciting year in the playoffs. The Vasilevsky stops at $750. We saw the McDavid at $51.60 for the SP game used, $18.60 here. And here we go. 2018 Upper Deck the Cup, Austin Matthews, Shield 1/1, not autoed. Just keep in mind, not autoed. Third-year card still sells for $4,320. You don't even see any Toronto blue on this card. Aside from the collar, you don't see any of the emblem on his jersey. This is not the prettiest Shield card I've ever seen. It looks classy to me. The design of the card is nice. I'd really love to have seen some of the Maple Leafs blue on this card. Is this just me being picky, Josh, or what do you think?
No, agree with you 100%. And this is another card that we talked about on our show. And the comment I made is by not even being able to see, even at like the top of the Maple Leafs logo, it almost looks like an unlicensed card.
Yeah. Yes.
Like you'd see from something like Leaf. But what makes this card super unique is I think from all the research I did in searching like card letter sales history and all the other public databases, this is the first Shield card that is ever sold, I think, for Austin Matthews.
Oh, that's a big deal then. He must have had an Upper Deck Ultimate Shield auto, I would think. But yeah,
I'll look again just to make sure I'm not having like COVID delirium here. But
well, yeah, check it out if you can find something else. I'm going to go on to page 2, and we'll just kind of run through the rest of the cards that we had favorited for tonight's show. So there's the Gretzky scripted sticks, 1,080. That seems about right to me right now out of 15. A pretty cool looking card from 2019, the Cup. Jack Hughes Young Guns. I mean, Jack Hughes is just a fantastic hockey player. BGS 9.5. This seems to be a true gem plus. I'm seeing 3.95s and a 10 for edges. Does $324. That seems really good to me, Josh, because Jack Hughes, I've heard some extremely complimentary not critique, because maybe critique or assessment of his play. Pat LaFontaine at the Expo said that Jack Hughes is like the Canadian version of Wayne Gretzky in terms of his hockey vision. I mean, that's high praise right there. Pat LaFontaine is no slouch. He knows his hockey. So I listened. I thought, oh, maybe I should grab myself. I don't usually buy these young guys' cards, but maybe I should buy a Jack Hughes card. And I still feel that way. Maybe I'll pick one up in Edmonton this coming weekend. But Josh, go ahead.
He's going for big money. Just the other day, one of his Cup RPA out of 99 just set a all-time record sale for any of his cards for $8,500 US.
So
he's creeping up there. His Young Guns, I don't think is a great buy. It's super high pop and very high gem rate. I believe there's over 3,000 PSA 10s already.
Wow.
And it's something like a 75% gem rate. So I would look for, now I think a really good option for Jack Hughes are like the OPG Platinum parallels where you can get something numbered and a little bit less. And okay, so I'll go back to Austin Matthews for a second real quick. It isn't the first Shield sale. It's the first Shield 1-of-1. But actually, in a couple days ago, a Shield 1-of-1 from Ultimate of his sold for 4,600. So it would be the second Shield 1-of-1 sold. A lot of the other Shields were like out of 5 or out of 10.
Okay, and I'm guessing the one from Ultimate that sold is a prettier card than this one, just for being the math.
Much prettier.
Yeah, doesn't surprise me. All right, and then just a few more here. I thought this was a nice looking card. The Olofsson Makar Cup dual auto patch rookie marks for $312. That seems like a great deal for that card. Out of 18, I think that's a great deal. McDavid retro PMG PSA 8 does 1,020. PSA pop 1 of 5, none higher, and then his Jambalaya from 2020 Metal Universe PSA 10 with pop 1 of pop 2 does 3,120. Wow, that's more than I was expecting.
Big number.
I brought up this card, this Jason Robertson SP Blue PSA 10. So this is not an SP Authentic card.
It's a retail.
It is not. But in this item description, they call it SP Authentics. And if you look at the card, it's called an SP Rookie Authentics. So I would, if anyone from PWCC is watching, I would caution you, this is misleading titling right here. This makes you think it's SP Authentic. It's SP Rookie Authentics, or it's just SP. But to put SP Authentics, I find that to be misleading. So I prefer not to have to see this kind of titling. I'm just guessing that at PWCC, they just don't really, whoever titled this, maybe just didn't have that level of knowledge that we do here, Josh, on as to what this card is. Nonetheless, it sold where it should have. So that's good. I think the customers know $37 for this card seems, that's the price of grading. So not too bad there. Stuart Skinner won the series yesterday for the Edmonton Oilers, or part of winning the series. His Young Gun PSA 10 does 103. And then this card I just thought was kind of funny the way it looks in the slab. So let's have a look at this. I mean, this is not the right holder for this card, but PSA doesn't. They just shouldn't have slabbed it, in my opinion. But they did. It is what it is. But it floats around in there too much. I just wish that they would find a way to put it so that when you look at it, like right now, it just kind of looks bad. Just looks bad in the holder, because it almost looks like it's way off center to the left, but it isn't. It's just misplaced in the slab. So, but nonetheless, what did this thing sell for? It's Vasilevsky, $14.40. So no harm done. But it's just the slab
not a good look
with the card, you know?
Yeah, not a good look for PSA. And I would wonder too if the card floating around like that would even have the opportunity to get more damage in the holder.
Well, oftentimes grading companies, when you get back a submission that says min size, they're not telling you that the card is trimmed. They're telling you that it was manufactured a little bit too small for the holder. And I know at tag grading, we won't slab a card if it's too small, not because we're saying it's trimmed, but because we're saying we don't want to get your card to get damaged in our holder. So we will just not do that. PSA will still do that, obviously, in many cases like this one here. But oftentimes I have to think that they also will take that same position that tag takes and will say, you know what, it's just too small. We don't think it's going to look good in the holder. So that might be the case there. But anyway, no damage done at $14 on that card. Stuart Skinner, Josh, I've heard you guys talking about him on the Gong Show. $100 for his PSA 10. Is that a high? Do you know? Is that a super high pop, high gem rate Young Guns?
The pop is higher than you think. I don't remember the gem rate, but we just talked about him today again for tomorrow's show, and he wasn't. I think the way we put it, he was just okay in the Kings series there in round one. And my view, and I would actually be really interested to get your perspective on this, Jeremy, is for them to go deeper in the playoffs, he's going to have to step his game up a little bit and play a little bit better.
So my perspective is the easy answer to that, Josh, is yes, of course. The goalie needs to be the best player on the ice. However, when it comes to the Edmonton Oilers, when you have Connor McDavid and Leon Draisaitl up front, where one of those two hasn't even really woken up yet in the playoffs, being the best player in the world, Connor McDavid, you can still win. You can still win the Stanley Cup by winning every game 6-5. You can still do that. So Skinner, obviously you don't want to put all the weight onto McDavid and Draisaitl. And luckily for them, I mean, Yamamoto last night, Zach Hyman, Ryan Nugent-Hopkins. I mean, did I say Hyman? I think I did. These guys are stepping up. So they have Ekholm now back on the Nurse is playing well. Evander Kane is he's always getting dirty. Like I think the team is pretty good in Edmonton, and it pains me to say it, but because they're my team's biggest rival, but I'm pulling for them. I'm pulling for the hobby. I'm pulling for the Leafs and the Oilers. So
I think that they're going to have to ride them, because I don't think, I'm pretty sure you'd agree that Jack Campbell doesn't seem like a real viable option at this point.
I think Skinner's the man there. So okay, well, there we have it. Those are the cards. Josh, let's go to some comments and we'll wrap this up. So Terry Fortune also won the Ray Bourque rookie and the second-year Gretzky tops. Both look very nice for mid-grade. I love that approach, Terry, because he's not saying they look very nice for the grade. He's saying they look very nice for mid-grade. And mid-grade is a great area to play in as a collector for sure. And Terry Fortune has, I don't know how many Gretzky's, but over 100 Gretzky rookies in his collection. I know that for sure. And several of every other year. So congrats to you, Terry, although these are far from your first, but I know you love them. He also let us know a while ago here, this was already 11 minutes ago, that the Kraken are up 2-0. Is that still the case? Love to get an update on that score. Special One says, I won the Ovi National Treasures. This is my first Ovechkin auto for my collection. Well, congrats. And if you care, I approve. Like, I think that's a great card. Congratulations on that one. Toilet
a great
missed out
card.
on all his chases tonight. Well, good to see you anyway. The professor got the noble numbers with the big M, Frank Mahovlich and Daryl Sittler. Congrats to you. And then I think this is in reference to the Jason Robertson SP rookie authentics, where he goes on to say J Rob card SP non-authentic. Pretty funny, but it's not an SP authentic. And by putting SP authentics, I just think that could mislead some people. And I have to think that, PWCC just, didn't do that deliberately. They just don't know what that set is exactly, is probably what I think would be the case. But you got that card. But as we said, $37, no big deal, I'm sure. And Terry Fortune lets us know still 2-0. Special one says this OV auto is for my new 7-week-old baby boy. Well, congratulations on your new 7-week-old baby boy. What is his name? What is your new baby's name? Special one cards. Love to know what his name is, just for fun. Josh, any comments you'd like to make on the Gong Show? What's coming up? Your health status? Anything?
Yeah. Well, I've been alternating between freezing and sweating during the show, so hopefully I did okay.
You did great.
A big week. We have a podcast releasing tomorrow morning, so you can look forward to that. On Thursday's show, we have Tony Sirianni from Upper Deck on to talk about the new SP Authentic release, not SP Retail. And, a lot of big changes this year for that. We just had on a Saturday, we did our 5th installment of our Hockey Cards 101, where Rob Gerard, the sports cards therapist, came on to talk about a little bit of a tricky hobby topic, but healthy collecting habits. And so that has gotten some good response. So really happy about that. That was a little scary one for us to do, but no, we're just plugging away here at the Gong Show and enjoying the playoffs. And it's the best time of year.
Well, I'm sorry about your Minnesota Wild.
Oh, yeah.
I didn't think they had a chance. So I think that Dallas is too strong. Dallas is now, to me, the best team in the playoffs. I think they're so good. And they just have so much potential there, but that's just me. So sorry to hear that. I haven't listened to the Rob Gerard episode, but I will for sure. So thank you for reminding me of that. And as always, I catch up on all your pods. As for myself, no shows next weekend because I will be at the Edmonton Expo. So sorry, no shows last weekend. Well, except for the premiere when I was at the hotel room. No shows next weekend, but we'll be back the week after. And I'll just let everybody know who's still here. And this is sort of somewhat timely, but the week after, let me just go to my quick schedule here, you guys, because I think this is going to be a good episode that's going to be very interesting to many people, especially considering some current hobby news. But yes, May the 13th, my guest is going to be Jason Kuntz. Jason Kuntz, a longtime collector, somebody who has been seen with Evan Mathis of a recent card trimming video. So I'm gonna have Jason on, and he said that everything's a go. So we're gonna talk about a lot of things with him on the 13th. So looking forward to that episode for sure. Special one says, Josh, hope you're feeling better. Looking forward to the pods this week.
Thank you.
Name, love the therapist episode. And David G says, I die every time toilet is addressed. I know, David.
Yeah, I know.
I laugh inside when I say it too, but hey, it's not a bad word. It's just a word, and it's something that we all use every single day. So,
well, it's the photo that gets me. Can I pay you to change your photo? Because it just looks like sorry, I'm not. It looks like kind of like a colonoscopy photo. I know it's the Milky Way galaxy, but with your name in that photo, I die every time.
Yeah, I that might be deliberate on part of Toilet. And Special One Cards lets us know that his new son's name is not Davy, but it looks like Davi is how I'm going to guess it's
Davi or Special One is Portuguese, I believe. Oh, right? Right, Special? You're from Portugal?
Davi? In any event, congratulations on your baby. Ricky says, Gordie Howe got his nickname out of respect for his style of play because he usually had a goal, an assist, and fight was why he was monikered Mr. Hockey. He could do it all. Makes sense. Okay. Good. All right. Josh, thank you for joining Under the Weather. I appreciate it. Chat, thank you for your comments, your questions. Right there. Like Davi, like Pedri and Gavi.
Those are soccer players. Special is a huge soccer collector. He has a soccer podcast, which is very good.
Got it.
if you're
Okay.
into
Well,
soccer.
thank you for joining tonight's Special One Cards. Glad to have you aboard. Everybody, if you are not yet subscribed to Sports Cards Live, please take a moment and do so. I will greatly appreciate it and hope to never let you down. And I guess that's it, huh, Josh?
That's it.
That's it. All right, everyone, have a great week ahead. Enjoy the rest of your Sunday night. Hockey playoffs are going to be lit. I love using that word now for the rest of the run. And if you're going to be at the Edmonton Expo next week, be sure to come and say hi to me. I will be set up there at booth 610, I believe it is. All right. And with that, this episode is now over. Thank you.